Hello, welcome to Chillin' Solo, where I play solo modes of board games so you guys can see how they work and what they play like. And today we are going to be playing a game of Marvel Dice Throne Missions. Now, Dice Throne is a game system that's been around for a while. Normally it is played as a 1v1 dice battler game where we'll be rolling dice to try and trigger different attacks and abilities to try and reduce our opponent's health down to 0. However, Marvel Dice Throne Missions turns that into a cooperative experience where we'll be moving around the map, defeating minions, and then ultimately trying to move on to defeat a big boss at the end. The Marvel Dice Throne Missions comes with a number of different scenarios and missions to complete. We are going up against one of the easiest ones that is suggested in the rulebook. It is suggested that you start with this one. It is actually the tutorial mission, as explained on the sheet there. And this mission is called Ock Nox Nox. And how the scenario works is that we need to complete a mission on this first side of this sheet here. Once we have done that, we can flip the sheet over to the other side, and then on the other side will be the boss for this scenario, who we will need to defeat in order to win. So in today's game of Marvel Dice Throne Missions, I have decided to play as Storm from the Marvel X-Men Dice Throne collection. So let's go into how the game works. So if we look at this card down here, this will show us the different phases of a turn and the things that we're going to be doing on our turn, as well as activating the bad guys. So the first thing we would do on our turn is that we would normally pass the first player marker. Since we're playing solo, that is not going to be happening because we'll be the only one taking a turn. So we can skip that part. The next step is the movement step, where we will be moving our character along the map, trying to get closer to henchmen or trying to get to the exit. When we move, we are allowed to move as far as we want, onto any space that we want, as long as it is one of these light-coloured spaces. So you can see here, we've got a light grey space, which is an empty space we can move into. Any of these empty light spaces with these boost tokens on, we're allowed to move into. However, you notice these henchmen are sort of on darker shaded spaces, and these blockades are on darker shaded spaces. We are not allowed to enter those spaces at the moment. So for the start of this map, the only spaces I can move into are these light grey spaces here, and I'm blocked off by this sort of blockade of objects and henchmen. So once I move, whatever space I finish on, if there is a boost token on that space, I will collect it. So if I move to this space, I would collect this boost token and immediately get the benefit of it. In this case, it's going to give me 3 health. So I would add 3 health onto my dial, and this token will then get discarded. So that's movement. Fairly simple. We then move on to Hero Part 1, which is essentially going to be how we would normally take our turn if we were playing regular Dice Throne. We move on to this turn order card and do the things on this turn order card up until we are doing our roll phase. So first of all, we would do our upkeep phase. The upkeep phase and the next step, the income phase, are going to be skipped on the first turn of the game. But every turn after that, we will be doing these. So the upkeep phase is, we would look at our player board and we would sort of trigger any status effects that are on our boards that trigger at the beginning of a round. And there could be various different things, which we will see as we play the game. Then we move on to our income phase, where we'll be gaining combat points and drawing more cards from our deck. Cards will be used for lots of different things. We can use them to upgrade our player board to make our attacks a bit better, or we can play them to do special effects, or maybe affect dice that have been rolled. Lots of different things that you'll be able to see as we play. And then we use those combat points we also gain during our income phase, and the combat points are what we're going to use to be able to pay for our cards. So each card comes with a cost on the left-hand side of it in CP. We'll pay that CP to be able to play those cards. During the income phase, we gain 1 CP and 1 card from our deck. Then we get to go on to our main phase, where we'll be able to play any upgrades from our hand, any ability upgrades. That's when we get to upgrade our player boards. We can play any action cards that let us play them during the main phase. So every action card comes with a little symbol on them and the color associated with it that tells us when we can play those cards during our turn. So in my hand at the moment, I have 2 blue cards, 2 orange cards. The blue cards can only be played during the main phase steps of a player turn. So I can only play these cards during this first main phase or the second main phase that I have later on in the turn. The orange cards are going to be used during the offensive roll phase. As you can see on the turn order card, it's also color coordinated. So the main phases are written in blue, and the orange is for the roll phases. So So I can use these cards during the roll phase because these are the cards that will affect dice when they're being rolled. Also in the deck there are red cards, which are cards that can be played at any time. So like I said, during the main phase we can play cards that are specified for the main phase. We can play cards to upgrade our player board, and we can also sell cards if we want to. We can just discard cards that we don't want to have anymore into our discard pile, and for every card that we discard we're going to gain 1 CP for, helping us to be able to pay for cards that we actually want to play. So after we've done the first main phase, we then move on to the roll phase. We're just going to do our offensive roll phase, where this is when we get to take our dice here, and we get essentially 3 rolls to try and trigger different effects on our board. Now each move comes with requirements that you need to roll in order to trigger that effect. You can only trigger 1 effect per turn, so after you've rolled all your dice, you're going to see which effect is going to work best for you at that point in time. Now most of them are all to do with the symbols that you roll. So we've got the lightning field over here. Depending on how many of these wind symbols I roll, I get to do different amounts of damage. For the light it up, I need to roll 1 wind, 2 water, and 1 cyclone in order to trigger that ability, and so on and so forth. They all do different things. I'll explain all the abilities when I use them during the game rather than running through each one individually. These 2 abilities here are to do with rolling straights. These are all custom dice that come with different symbols on them, as well as numbers 1 to 6. In order to trigger these, I need to roll either a small straight, a large straight, or this is what's called a largest straight. So we essentially get 3 rolls to try and get the symbols or numbers that we want to try and achieve. So, for example, I would roll 1 there. I've got a lot of wind symbols and 1 rain symbol. So I could either go for this lightning field, which requires a lot of wind symbols, or I could try and go for something a bit better if I wanted to. Let's say I want to try for this lighted up ability, which is 1 wind, 2 rain, and 1 cyclone. So I've got a wind and a rain. I just need to roll another rain and another cyclone. So I get 2 more attempts to try that. I got another rain. Let's try and roll the cyclone for my last roll, which unfortunately I didn't do. So I have 3 rain and 2 wind, which is actually what you need to trigger this thunderstorm. So after my 3 rolls, those are my symbols. I will then trigger this thunderstorm and do the abilities on there. Now when you're attacking henchmen, every attack that you do will be a melee attack. So in order to attack a henchman, you need to be adjacent to them. So right now, since I'm in this space, I can attack this henchman since I'm adjacent to them. However, I'm not able to attack anything else that's on the board from the position I'm at right now. So I would trigger this ability, do any damage from this ability to this henchman, and that would be the offensive roll. It is during this point I could, if I wanted to, play any orange cards as well to try and manipulate the dice in order to get the symbols or numbers that I wanted. So after we've done that first offensive roll phase, we go back to this turn phases card to see what's next. Then we get to target and resolve our ability. So it says once all heroes have declared ready to attack, so in a multiplayer game, we would all sort of do this roll phase at the same time. And then once everybody's satisfied with what they rolled, everybody will say that they're ready. And once everybody's ready, we then get to resolve our abilities in turn order, attacking the people that we are targeting. But obviously in this game it's just solo, so we only need to worry about ourselves. So once we've rolled our dice, we can just go ahead, target the person that we're targeting, and apply the effects of the attack. Then we go on to Hero Part 2, which again is back over to the regular turn order for Dice Throne, where we get to do our second main phase to play any more cards that we want to play. And then we go on to our discard phase, which is if we have cards in hand that are more than 6, we have to discard down to 6 cards. But for every card that we discard, we get to sell for combat points. After Hero Part 2, that's the end of our turn essentially, and we're going on to the enemy's turn then. So step 6 is the enemy upkeep phase, where we would check any enemies on the board to see if they have any status effects that trigger during their turn, and if they do, we would apply those effects. Then we go on to the enemy roll. So on this side of the board is just for henchmen. And in order to do that, we would take these 4 enemy dice. These dice the number of dice will change depending on the number of players. We take the 4 dice and we just roll them 1 time, and then we see what symbols we've rolled, and these tell us what enemies will trigger. So the enemy's details are at the bottom of the sheet here. So we would look at each enemy. So this is the crab bot. In order for the crab bot to activate, we needed to have rolled 3 of these orange symbols. We, however, have only rolled 1 orange symbol, so they don't activate. Then we go into the thief bot, who needs 2 orange and 1 blue to activate. We have not rolled that either. We've only rolled 1 orange, so they don't activate. And then the laser, which is an unstoppable threat, needed to roll 1 of the yellow symbols, which we didn't roll. So this would have been an extremely lucky roll in the game where none of the enemies would have activated against us, and we would have sort of had a free round and not taken any damage. But if they did activate, we would just read the details of their attack here, and they would get applied to us, and we would take damage, take status effects, all different kinds of things that different henchmen will do, and we'll go through what each henchman does when we play the game. So in this scenario, we have 2 henchmen to fight against, the crab bot and the thief bot, which are spread out around the map there. And then most maps then come with an unstoppable threat, which is something that we are not allowed to attack or damage, but it's always going to be something that's there to be able to do damage to us in some sort of way, or negatively affect us in some way. If a henchman does attack us, we are then able to perform a defensive role. Now each character comes with at least 1 defense roll ability, which is this bottom right one here on our player board, the green one. So after they are dealing, we figure out how much damage they're dealing to us. We get to roll our dice. This will tell us how many dice we roll. In this case, we get to roll all 5 of our dice. During a defense roll, you only roll the dice 1 time, and then you would activate whatever symbols you have rolled on your defensive roll. So in this case, our defensive roll says if we've rolled 3 wins, which we have, then we get to gain the tornado status effect. If we rolled 2 rain, which we didn't, unfortunately, we would have been able to prevent 2 damage coming into us. And on a cyclone, we get to gain a lightning status effect. So that's how that works. We can gain different status effects and possibly prevent damage at the same time. After the henchmen have activated, we then going to advance the crisis clock, which is this clock over here. The crisis clock is started on a random space determined by a dice roll at the start of the game, which I did off camera. And when we advance the crisis clock, we just advance it 1 step and then activate anything that's in that segment. So in this case, this has moved on to an empty space, so nothing happens. However, as we move forward, they're going to activate different things. So this one then, if we moved on to this space, this triggers the crisis ability of the thief bots, the blue henchmen, which in this case means that the crisis ability, they gain a shield. So they're going to gain shields to prevent damage incoming on future turns. And different things will happen as this crisis clock goes around the board. Obviously not good things for us, or bad things for us. Good things for the henchmen. And that's how a turn phase plays out. After we've done the crisis clock, it's back to the start, where we'll get to move on the board, and so on and so forth. There's some other things to bear in mind about what this dice roll missions introduces into the game, is that we have this momentum dial here. Every time we defeat a henchman, we're going to add a little token onto the board here to say that they have been defeated. And this then gives us 2 momentum. Now in a multiplayer game, this 2 momentum would be split between players however we choose to do so, but in a solo game, this was all going to come to us. And we gain momentum, so we gain 2 momentum there, and momentum can be spent in 2 different ways at the start of a mission anyway. And when you first start sort of not necessarily a campaign, but a playthrough, you're on a level 1 momentum, and momentum can be spent in 2 different ways. One way is you can spend 1 momentum to make your attack ranged. So if that is the case, when your attack becomes ranged, you can attack any henchman on the board. You can essentially attack anywhere on the board that you want to. So that is a way of trying to defeat these henchmen over here if we really wanted to. The other thing you can do with momentum is to recruit an ally, and these are the other things that have been added into this game for the missions expansion. So each ally comes with a cost in momentum in the top right. So Ant-Man here costs 2 momentum, Iron Man costs 2 momentum, and Havoc costs 3 momentum. And we can spend that momentum to gain that ally, and then we'll have access to that ally's abilities. So for example, if we spent 2 momentum, we could gain Ant-Man. He will come into our play area, and then we can use his abilities. Now, Ant-Man specifically says that when we recruit him, we gain a shield. We get that ability as soon as we have purchased him. Then once per round during our roll phase, we can spend 2 momentum to increase or decrease one of our dice by the value of 1. So we can do that once per round as long as we have Ant-Man in play, but obviously we would have to pay the momentum to be able to do so. He then has a plus exhaust ability, which means in order to do this plus exhaust ability, you would have to have triggered his regular ability in the first place. So we have to spend the 2 momentum to increase or decrease the dice by 1. And then we can trigger the plus exhaust ability if we want to increase or decrease one of your dice by the value of 1, 2, or 3 instead. So that makes our ability a little bit better, but the exhaust keyword means that Ant-Man then will get discarded to the bottom of the deck and we no longer have access to him. Well, that's sort of a little insight as how allies work. You can only ever have one ally in play at a time. So if we wanted to get a different ally in play, we would either need to exhaust Ant-Man by using his ability or just purchasing a new one and exchanging Ant-Man out in place of him. That's essentially how you play Dice Throne, and a run through of a turn or so of Dice Throne missions. One more thing to be aware of before we start, I think we should have a look at Storm's status effects and the different things that they do, just so we have an idea of what kind of things we've got at our disposal. So she has the lightning status effect. So if we look at Storm's different abilities, they all have, apart from her defensive ability, they all have an outline of a lightning bolt in the top right. Now when we gain a lightning, we are able to place it onto one of those abilities, and then that ability becomes charged. When we activate this ability in the future, we get to do all the things on the ability, plus we can, if we want to, discard the lightning to also gain the charged effect of that ability. So in this case, light it up. If I was to charge this one, I would roll my 5 dice and gain all the different things relating to the things that I rolled, but then I could also spend this to get the charged effect, which is to gain a wind shear status effect. So the lightning is there just to try and essentially make our abilities a little bit better. You are allowed to have more than one lightning on an ability. However, it says that if there are ever 2 lightning bolt tokens on a single ability, you immediately remove them both and deal 2 undefendable damage as an isolated source. So essentially we just get to do 2 free damage to any opponent. Our next status effect is the tornado. When we gain a tornado, we put it on our player board and then we can spend this in the future. It says a player with this token may spend it at the start of their offensive roll phase. So that's before we start rolling our dice, we can spend the tornado. And for each tornado we spend, we get to gain an opponent's dice into our roll pool. So that we can essentially use their dice as part of our roll. And the reason for this, like obviously we won't have the symbols that we want to get to be able to activate different abilities, but it will help us to be able to roll these different straight abilities. Because we've got Gust here, which is a small straight, meaning we have to have 4 numbers in a row consecutively to activate that one. Or we do the large straight, where we need 5 numbers in a row consecutively to trigger that ability. Or we have Maelstrom, which is a larger straight. In this case, you need 6 numbers in a row, so we need to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in order to activate this ability. Now, we normally only have 5 dice. So in order for us to activate this ability, we would have to get at least 1 dice off our opponents to be able to help us to roll that. So that will be the reason for us using tornadoes, is to try and get their dice to try and help us do this Maelstrom ability. And the final ability we have, the final status effect, is the wind shear. And this is a way for us to redirect damage onto other opponents. It tells us that a player with this token may spend it when being attacked to prevent 2 incoming damage. Then we choose an opponent to receive 2 undefendable damage. So it sort of like acts as a shield and a deflection onto damage onto somebody else. So that's the status effects we have. We'll go through all of the abilities as we roll them, so you can see what they do. That's pretty much all that we need to know before we get started. So I'm just going to quickly reset the board again and reset my dials and everything back to the start so we can get started into the playthrough. So see you in a second. Hello, welcome back. So we're ready to get started on a playthrough of Marvel Dice Throne missions. But before we do, we're just going to read about our mission and our objective that we need to do in order to complete this side of the mission. So this is Ock Knox Knox. Mission run. Doc Ock is robbing Fort Knox. The Sinister Six has run light on funds, and the 8-armed crook won't let pesky laws stand in his way. Get past his bots and make it to the vault before he escapes. So Doc Ock is trying to rob Fort Knox, and we got to stop him. Our main objective. The goal is to defeat all 3 thief bots, then move all heroes through the exit, or defeat all the henchmen. So our objective, we have 3 thief bots, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. If we can defeat all 3 of those and get through the exit, we have completed our mission. Or we could just defeat all of the henchmen, which is these 3 thief bots, as well as 1, 2, 3 crab bots. Once we've defeated every one of those, then we've also completed the mission. Now it tells us upon completion, when we fulfill the mission, if we fulfill the main objective, we get an extra boost in health and an extra boost in momentum, and then we get to flip the board over to the final battle. Or if we do the perfect reward, which is if we manage to defeat all the henchmen, then we get additional health and momentum. So we can just defeat the 3 thief bots if we want and leave and just get the regular completion, or if we want extra bonuses at the end, we can defeat all of the henchmen to get that. So quite simple, we just need to defeat the bad guys and leave. Okay, so let's get started. So first step for a solo game is movement. So we can move as far as we want without moving through or onto these shaded spaces. So right now we can only basically attack these 2 crab bots because we're blocked off by all these spaces here. We can't reach any of the other people. What we're going to do is we're going to move down to this space here. We collect the boost token that's on there, which is 1 CP. So that's going to give us, discard that off to the side. That's going to give us 1 extra combat point, so we're on 3 combat points now. So that's the movement phase done. Then we move on to hero part 1. So we're going to, because it's the first turn of the game, we're skipping our upkeep on our income phase. We're going straight onto the main phase where we get to play ability cards, main phase action cards, and sell cards if we want to. So we've got 2 roll phase action cards, which we can't use right now. And we've got transference, which lets us move status effect tokens, which is useless to us. Or we've got this twister card, which lets us gain 3 tornado status effects, which are the things that let us steal dice from the enemies. Do we want to use that right now? Yeah, why not? I'm going to spend 1 combat point, because that's the cost for this one. And I'm going to gain 3 tornadoes. So we get 3 of these. Now each status effect comes with a stack limit, telling us how many tokens we're allowed to have on a board at one time. So for the tornado, we have a stack limit of 4. So we can never have more than 4 tornadoes at any one time. Okay, that's it for my main phase. So now we're going to move on to our offensive roll phase. Now, do we want to spend any of our tornadoes to get some of their dice to try and help us get these big abilities? I'm going to spend 2 of them. I'll spend 2 tornadoes to get 2 dice. Hopefully that, we're going to try and go for a maelstrom. The more dice we have, hopefully the more chances we have to get it. So we're going to roll up. So we're looking at the numbers. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got a 1, we've got a 2, we've got a 3, we've got a 5, and we've got a 6. Okay, so we just got 2 more attempts to try and roll a 4 on these 2 dice. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. So let's go for a second roll. Nope. Let's try one more time. No, we didn't. Okay. We didn't get what we wanted there, and the cards that we have in our hand are not going to help us change any of these to a 4. So let's have a look at what symbols we've got. We've got 3 wind, 1 rain, and 1 cyclone, which isn't very good. What I could do is play 6-it, which I'm going to do because otherwise I'm only doing a pretty rubbishy lightning field attack. But I'm going to spend another CP to play 6-it, which lets me change the value of one of my dice into a 6. I'm going to change this dice into a 6. So now I have 3 wind and 2 cyclone, which lets me trigger the opposites attract ability. Now what this says, I gain 3 tornadoes, so I'm going to get 3 tornadoes back. I'm at my stack limit of 4. Then I get to roll 2 dice and I deal damage equal to the total roll of those dice. So let's roll 2 dice. I've rolled a 5 and a 2, so that's 7 damage. So I do 7 damage to this crab bot here. The crab bots have 12 health each, and the thief bots have 11 health each. So we're doing 7, so this 12 turns into 5. This crab bot's got 5 hit points left. So now we go to our hero part 2, where we get to do our second main phase, but we're not going to play any more cards, so we don't have much CP to do so anyway. Then we go into our discard phase, but we're not over the limit of 6, so we don't have to discard any cards. So now we move on to the enemy phase. So the enemy's upkeep first. They don't have any status effects, so nothing happens there. Then we're going to go on to their roll phase. So we take their dice, roll it 1 time, and see what triggers. So crab bots will trigger if we roll 3 oranges, which we have. Roll 3 oranges. So the crab bots are going to activate. Now their attack is a multi-strike attack, meaning that if more than one hero is adjacent to them, then they would attack all of those heroes. But solo game, so there's only one of us. The attack is melee, so it has to be adjacent. They're not a ranged enemy. And they're going to deal 4 damage. So each crab bot will activate individually. This crab bot can't attack because we're not adjacent to them, because they're melee. Neither can this crab bot. So this is the only one that's going to be attacking us, and he's dealing 4 damage to us. So we get to do our defensive roll first. So we're going to roll all 5 of our dice, and then depending on what we've rolled. So on 3 wind, which we do, we get a tornado, but we can't get a tornado because we're at our stack limit of 4. We needed to roll 2 rain to prevent damage, which she didn't do, and a cyclone would have got us lightning. So nothing for that defensive roll, unfortunately. So we're just going to take the 4 damage. That takes us down to 41 hit points. Then we advance the crisis clock. This takes 1 space, but it's on an empty space, so nothing happens. Now we start a new turn. So back to movement. We are going to move into this space here, pick up the 2 health boost token, taking us back up to 43. We started on 45 health. You are allowed to go above your starting health, but only 10 more than your starting health. So we have a maximum health essentially of 55 if we need that. We've moved. Now we go to our hero part 1. So now we get to do our upkeep and income phase. Upkeep phase, we have no status effects that do anything to us during this phase. So we'll just go on to our income phase, where we get another combat point and draw 1 card from our deck. We've drawn Gale Force, which is a card to use during our attack phase. It's an attack modifier that may help us do more damage, which is quite nice. Okay, now we go on to our main phase, where we get to play cards if we want to, but I don't think we want to play any cards. So we're just going to go straight into our offensive roll. Again, we're going to spend 2 tornadoes to get 2 more dice from the villain and try and roll this maelstrom. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 4, and 6. I'm going to keep going. Why not? Let's go for it. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've at least got a small straight now, so if you can roll a 5 with our last one, that'd be cool, but no worries if not. We did not. Okay, these can go back. We're going to use this 1, 2, 3, 4 as a small straight to trigger the gust ability. Now we gain a wind shear when we do this. So this comes onto here, and this is the one that we can spend when we get attacked to deflect 2 damage off us back onto the person attacking us. And then we deal 6 damage. Now you'll notice that the henchmen don't have a defensive roll. They just have to take the damage that's given to them. There are ways for them to gain like shields and things like that, but in this case they just don't get a defensive roll. So 6 damage. He only has 5 hit points left, so that's that crab bot defeated. Because he's defeated, then we put this little token on him. reminding us that we get 2 momentum. So we're going to get 2 momentum here. And we could recruit an ally with that if we wanted to. And that's the gust ability done. So we've done the target and resolve. Now we got to go into the hero part 2 where we get to do another main phase. But we're not going to play any more cards. Onto the discard phase. But we only have 3 cards in hand, so we don't need to discard anything. That's our turn finished essentially. Now the important thing to note now as well is because we've defeated this villain, and this token is on here now, this henchman, sorry, we are now able to move through this space as if it was a normal space. So that's how we're going to get through here to attack the other henchmen. On to the enemies. So their upkeep phase, there's nothing for them to do because there's no status effects on them. So we go into their roll phase where we're going to roll dice. There we go. And let's see who activates. So we need 3 oranges for these. No, we didn't get 3 oranges. We need 2 oranges and 1 blue, which we did roll. And we need a yellow for the laser, but we didn't roll a yellow. So the only ones activated will be the thief bots. So the thief bots, again, they're a multi-strike, so they would attack everybody that's adjacent to them. But they're melee, and we are not adjacent to any of the thief bots, so we're not going to get any attacks done to us this turn. So that is good. So that's the henchman roll phase complete. Then we go into the crisis clock. We're going to advance the crisis clock, and we are triggering the crisis effect of the thief bot henchmen. And their crisis ability is that they're all going to gain a shield each. Now, when everybody gains a shield, they gain this little shield token. There's a number 3 printed on them, meaning that next time they take damage, they're going to prevent up to 3 damage of that attack. Okay, a new turn then. Back to the movement phase. I think we're going to stay over here and defeat this other crab bot before we move on. So we're going to move up to here and we're going to take this 6 health and boost our health up to 49. Like I said, we can go up to 55 max. Okay, then on to our hero part 1. So we get our upkeep phase. Nothing to upkeep. No effects that are doing anything. So we get our income. So another combat point and another card for us. Well, we draw a helping hand, which is another roll phase card. And then we are going to go on to main phase 1. There's nothing I think we want to play from our hand, so we're not going to do anything there. Not going to sell any cards, so we're going to go straight onto our offensive roll. And spend the 2 tornado again, why not? Let's try and get this maelstrom at least once in the game, eh? Let's go. What have we got? We got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we've got a small straight again at least. We're trying to roll a 5 and a 6 with 2 more rolls. We've got a 5 there. We just need to roll a 6, please. Go on. Let's do it. No, we didn't. We rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a large straight. So we get to trigger this large straight gust ability. We could also try and make this attack a little bit better and maybe defeat them in one shot. So we're doing 8 damage with this. So yeah, let's... we're also going to use Gale Force here, which is a card we can spend during the roll phase, which we're in now. It costs us 1 CP. So we're going to spend 1 CP to play Gale Force. And we get to roll 4 dice. So we're going to roll 4 of these dice. We'll put these back. And then depending on what we roll, we're going to get different effects. So 4 dice. Oh, well. For every wind we would have rolled, we would have done an extra damage. We didn't roll any winds. But if we roll at least 1 of the cyclones, which we did, we're going to gain a tornado. So not the worst thing, but I always prefer to do more damage. But that's okay. So going on to our gust ability, we're going to gain another wind shear, which we can't take because our stack limit is only 1, so we already have 1. And we get to deal 8 damage. So we're going to do 8 damage to them, taken from 12 down to 4 health left for the crab bot. We've used that card, so I can go into our discard pile. So that's our turn done. Onto the enemies. No upkeep, no status effects for them to activate. So we're going to go on to their roll phase. And we'll roll once. And let's see what we've got. So, 3 oranges. No crab bots activated. Thief bot is 2 orange and a blue. We don't have that either. The laser, we needed to roll a yellow, which we did. So the laser is going to activate. So the laser is the unstoppable threat. We can't do anything about this. As the passive ability describes here, this enemy cannot be damaged in any way or inflicted with any status effects. We just got to deal with the consequences of it. When this activates, it's a multi-strike, which will mean it'll attack everybody, and it's ranged, so it can attack everybody anyway. And it's going to deal 2 undefendable damage. And because it's undefendable damage, it means that we don't get to roll our defensive ability against it. We just got to take that 2 damage, which we can avoid in other ways if we had the ability to, but at the minute we don't. Although actually we do, because we have the wind shear, which lets us prevent 2 damage, which is what we're going to be taking. Because undefendable just means we can't do a defense roll against it. So we could prevent 2 of that damage and then choose an opponent to receive that 2 damage instead. So we could just deal that 2 damage onto the crab bot. So let's just do it because we've got it. Why not? We'll spend our wind shear. Yep, we'll spend our wind shear to prevent the 2 damage and deal that 2 damage onto this crab bot, meaning he's only got 2 hit points left. So that's that. Then we go to the crisis clock, advance that 1 step onto a blank space so nothing happens, and then a new turn. So back to the movement phase, we're going to move up to here. Why not? Get 3 more hit points, taking us to 52. And then onto our hero phase. So upkeep first, nothing to upkeep. Income, we get a combat point and a card. Now we've got an ability upgrade here now. That's quite nice. Then we go on to our main phase, which we're going to do now. We'll spend 2 CP, which is what this card costs, taking us down to 1 CP. And this is going to upgrade our lighted up ability. So it's going to make that a little bit better. I think I'm also going to spend some momentum to recruit one of these allies. I think I want to recruit Ant-Man. So I'm going to spend the 2 momentum to recruit Ant-Man. When we recruit Ant-Man, we get a shield. So we're going to get a shield token. So the next time we take damage, 3 of it's going to be prevented. And then once per round, I can spend 2 momentum, which I don't have right now, but in the future I will be able to spend 2 momentum to increase or decrease a dice that I roll by 1. So that could be a nice way to try and trigger this Maelstrom, which I haven't been able to do so far. Or maybe even the Tempest Ultimate ability, which is the hardest to roll, because we need 5 6s in order to do that. We've recruited an ally, now we refill the supply of allies, and we have brought out Dagger as well. She only costs 1 to recruit Dagger. Nothing else to do in our main phase. No more cards I want to play. So on to our roll phase. Maybe let's try and do this lighted up ability that we've just upgraded. I'm not going to spend any tornadoes to get extra dice. I won't worry about the Maelstrom. So we've got 3 wind and 2 rain. We need 2 rain and 1 wind. We're going to keep them. I think I'm going to try and reroll to get a cyclone now to try and get that lighted up ability. No, let's try 1 more. No. But what I have done is 3 rain and 2 wind, which is our thunderstorm ability. So let's do that instead. So we're going to gain 2 lightning. So we get to gain 2 lightning. We get to place these onto effects that we want to trigger. So let's put 1. I'm going to put 1 on Maelstrom. I'm going to do it at some point. And I'll put 1 on lighted up as well. Hopefully we'll be able to trigger that at some point. Then we're going to deal 7 damage. He's only got 2 health left, so he's defeated. We put a little token out, and that gives us 2 more momentum. 1, 2, back to 2 momentum. So I could use that for Ant-Man now, or I could use it for other things. And that's that. Don't get the charge effects. I didn't charge the thunderstorm. When we go on to our second main phase, so no more cards that I don't need to play, so we're done there. No, don't need to discard cards. We've only got 3 in hand, so on to the enemies. No upkeep for them. We're going to roll their dice to see who's attacking. Okay, so we've rolled 2 oranges and 2 blues, so no crab bot. Thief bots would activate, but again, they're only melee attacks, and we're not next to any thief bots, so they're not attacking us. And the laser didn't get rolled, so nothing happens there. Onto the crisis clock. Let's advance that. Now we're triggering the crisis ability of the crab bots. Now the crab bots deal, for every undefeated crab bot, they're going to deal 2 damage. They're going to deal 2 collateral damage to all heroes. Now what collateral damage is essentially sort of a damage that's not really targeted at a specific person. It's just 2 damage that's getting dealt to everybody. So it's not considered an attack, so couldn't be prevented in certain ways. So like, for example, if I had my wind shear, I get to spend that when I'm being attacked, but this doesn't count as an attack, so I wouldn't be able to use my wind shear to prevent this damage. And there's no other way to prevent it, so we just got to take it. But there's only 1 crab bot left alive because I've killed 2 of them. So 1 crab bot deals 2 damage to me. That's not the end of the world. That's the crisis clock then. Now it's back to us for a new turn. So let's move. We're going to move here to collect this this boost token, which gives us +1 to an attack in the future. We'll keep that as a status effect. So that's going to let us add +1 to an attack in the future. Then we go on to our hero phase. Upkeep phase, nothing to upkeep. We're going to get our income, so another combat point and another card. Ooh, this lets us charge Maelstrom and Tempest. We've already got Maelstrom charged, so we won't use that right now. So we've got no cards to play now during our main phase, so let's move on to our roll phase. Now, we are not adjacent to any enemies, so what I'm going to do is spend 1 momentum, and now my attack becomes ranged. So I'm going to use that to attack. I'm going to use it to attack this guy here, I think. No, let's use it to attack the crab bot instead, actually. Use it to attack that crab bot. So, let's roll our dice. Ooh, right, we've got 2 cyclones there. We could try and go for a blizzard or maybe even a tempest. Don't really have cards to help us, but let's try it. Let's roll again. Yeah, we're probably not going to get that now, are we? We could just trigger Light It Up right now. We're probably going to do that and not risk losing that. So we've got 2 rain, 1 wind, and 1 cyclone. Let's just trigger Light It Up. This is our upgraded ability. So for Light It Up, we gain 1 lightning, which we're going to put onto... Let's put it onto Thunderstorm down here. Okay. And we gain a tornado. So we've got 2 tornadoes now. We can steal 2 dice. Then we're going to roll 5 dice. And then depending on what we roll, we get to do different things. Okay. So what have we rolled? First of all, we see how many winds we've rolled. And we get that many lightning. So we got 3 wind for 3 lightning. So we're going to put 1 on gust. We'll put 1 on lightning field. And we'll put 1 on blizzard. We've got pretty much everything. Actually, we won't put it on blizzard. We'll put it on opposites attract. We've got nearly everything charged up now. Then for every 2 rain, we didn't roll 2 rain, we would have gained tornado. And then for every 1 cyclone, we get lightning again. So we got 1 cyclone for 1 lightning. Let's put that onto blizzard. Now we can use the charged effect for this, which we may as well do. So we're going to spend this lightning to do the charge effect, which lets us gain another wind shear. It's a bit of a shield, so that's quite nice. However, we didn't do any damage to the crab bot, because this doesn't actually do any damage. It just lets us prep things in order to do damage. Well, we could have done damage if we had stacked up our lightning on 1 ability, essentially, but I chose not to do that this time. That's the end of our roll phase. Now we go into our second main phase. which we're not going to do anything with. We don't have any cards we want to play, so don't need to discard. We've got 4 cards in hand, so we're good there. So on to the henchmen. No upkeep for them. We're going to roll, see what happens. Okay, so we've rolled 3 oranges, so all the crab bots would activate, but that's the only crab bot on the board, and he's not adjacent to me, so no attack. We would also activate the thief bots, because we've got 2 oranges and 1 blue. But again, we're not adjacent to any thief bots, and they're only melee, so nothing happens there. And we didn't roll any yellows, so no laser. So, not bad. Onto the crisis clock, let's advance that. Blank space, nothing happens. Okay, back to us in another movement phase. So we're going to move down to here, take this token. And this token says we can remove 1 status effect token from ourselves or gain a momentum. We don't want to remove any of the status effects because they're all good ones, so we're just going to gain a momentum and maybe use that now to trigger Ant-Man's ability. Let's see what we want to do. The movement is done. Now it's on to our hero phase. Let's upkeep, nothing happens. We've got nothing to upkeep. So income, gain another combat point, draw another card. We've got a tsunami, which lets us re-roll up to 3 dice during our roll phase. That's pretty good. But we're good there. Nothing to play during our main phase. So we're just going to move on to our roll phase. We're going to spend our 2 tornadoes and get 2 more dice from them. And let's go. Let's try and roll this maelstrom this time. So what have we got? We've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 5 and 6. We still need a 1 and a 4. We've got 2 more rolls left. We've got the 4. We just need to roll a 1, which we're going to try and do. If we don't do it with the dice, we've got Ant-Man, which we may be able to use to do it with instead. We didn't roll a 1, so we're going to use Ant-Man's once per round during your roll phase, spend 2 momentum. So we're going to spend this 2 momentum to increase or decrease one of your dice by the value of 1. So we're going to change this 2 into a 1, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is the largest straight. So we can trigger our maelstrom ability. So that's pretty tasty. So the ability is we get to deal 10 damage. So 10 damage is coming onto this guy. 3 of it is prevented with the shield. That's another 7 damage then, taking him from 11 down to 4. Four health left on this thief bot. Then we get to place lightning on up to 4 different defensive abilities, excluding this one. So I can't place one on the maelstrom, but I'm going to place on up to 4 different ones. I'm going to place 1 onto Light It Up. Then I'm going to place 1 onto Blizzard. And it says once there are 2 on there, we immediately discard them and deal 2 damage to something. So we're going to deal 2 damage to this thief bot, taking him down to 2 hit points. And then I'm going to place another one onto Light It Up, which then immediately triggers again because there's 2 lightnings on there, dealing another 2 damage to this thief bot, defeating that thief bot, and then so giving me 2 more momentum. We've done that. Then we can use the charge effect if we want to, which we're going to. We're going to spend 1 lightning to use the charge effect, which gives us another combat point and another card. That was pretty good. We've triggered our maelstrom finally, thanks to a little help from Ant-Man. Okay, now we're going to go on to our second main phase. I don't think we want to play any more. Yeah, let's play this uncanny, why not? We're going to spend 1 CP. That's going to let us charge our maelstrom and our tempest abilities. So maelstrom's going to get charged up again, and so is our tempest ability. But I think that's all we want to play for now. So we're going to our discard phase. We've got 5 cards in hand, so we don't need to discard anything. Then we go on to the henchmen. No upkeep to do for them, so we're just going to roll their dice. They have rolled 3 oranges and a blue, so the crab bots would activate, but there's no one adjacent. Thief bots would also activate, nobody adjacent to me, so nothing, and no laser, so we're good. Onto the crisis clock, onto the thief bot crisis ability, which means that they're going to gain a shield each again. So these thief bots have got 2 shields on them now. New turn. Let's do another movement step. Well, I'm just going to move down and pick up this health. Get 4 more health, taking us to 54, which is almost max health for us. Then we move on to our hero phase, no upkeep, so just do our income where we get a combat point and a card. Very nice. So we go on to our main phase. We're going to spend this. This is a red card. We could play this at any time. We're going to play it now. It's going to cost us 2 CP. We get to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we've got a couple of upgrades here. So let's spend 2 of our CP to upgrade another attack. Do we want to upgrade our Gust or do we want to upgrade our Blizzard? Let's upgrade our Gust. So we're going to make that a little bit better. Okay, that's our main phase done. On to our roll phase. So let's go. See what we get. I'm going to spend another momentum because I'm not adjacent to anybody, so this attack is now ranged, and we're going to go for the crab bot again, I think. Right, so we've got 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's do that for now. We've got 3, 4, 5, and 6. We've got a small straight for Gust 2. Let's try and roll a 2 with 2 more rolls. So maybe we can get our large straight in there. That's a 4. Last try. That's a 3. It's alright, we've got the small straight. So we're going to do Gust 2 here with a small straight. We're going to gain a wind shear, which we can't do because we've already got one. We're going to deal 7 damage, which we're going to increase by 1 with this. Why not? So that's 8 damage. So he goes from 12 down to 4 hit points for the crab bot. And then we're going to use the charged effect, spend this lightning bolt to gain a tornado. On to main phase part 2, which we're not going to play anything because we don't have any CP anyway. And now onto a discard phase. Now we do have 7 cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have to discard something. We're going to discard transference, which lets us transfer status effects. I could get negative status effects, but it's not happening right now. So I'll just discard that, sell that for 1 CP. Probably regret that later when I do get a status effect, but never mind. Okay, so that's me done. Onto the henchmen. No status effects for them to do, so we're just going to go on to their roll phase. Let's see what happens. Again, we've got 3 oranges and a blue, so crab bots would activate, but they're not adjacent to me. Thief bots would activate, but they're not adjacent to me, and no laser to activate. They just don't want to attack me today. That's what happens when you stay away. Right, onto the crisis clock. Onto a blank space, so nothing. And now it's back to us for our movement phase. We're going to move 1 more space up into here and gain a CP with that boost token. So that takes us to 2 CP. Then we go on to our upkeep phase where nothing happens. So we just do our income. So get another CP and another card. Very good. Onto our main phase where we're going to spend 2 CP to upgrade our Blizzard ability, which is there. So our Blizzard ability is a bit better now as well. And it gives us an extra one that we can use down there. Okay, so that's that. Nothing else to do in our main phase, I don't think. These are all orange cards now. I have loads of orange cards to help me manipulate dice. On to our roll phase then. Let's roll. I'm going to spend another momentum to make this attack ranged again. We're going to go for that crab bot, try and finish him off. So we've only got 4 damage to do, so we should be fine. We just do one of these lightning fields if we wanted to. We'll do something that lets us get effects at the same time. I think I'm just going to stop there. We're going to trigger the lightning field ability for 3 wind. Lets us deal 5 damage. That's enough to defeat this crab bot. Lets us gain 2 more momentum because he is defeated. Momentum back up. And that's it. We go into our second main phase, which we're not going to do anything with. Then we discard, but we've got 6 cards, so we don't need to discard. And that's on to the bad guys. No upkeep for them to do, so we're just going to roll their dice. They've only got crab bots now and the laser. So we've... No, sorry, thief bots and the laser, not crab bots. So no crab bots left. Thief bots is 2 oranges and a blue, which they do have, but they're not adjacent to me, so nothing happens. And we didn't roll the yellow for the laser again. And a pretty rubbish laser. Hit us once, I think, this whole game. Onto the crisis clock, where the crab bots crisis ability would activate, but there's no crab bots left. So no crisis ability there. Alright, back to us now for a new turn. Let's move. We're going to move into here. Pick up this 1 momentum, which we get straight away. Taking us to 3 momentum. And then we are going to go on to our hero phase. No upkeep, so just straight into our income where we get a CP and a card. Ah, nice. We're going to use this right now, eh? Getting paid costs us 0 CP, and it gains us 2 CP. We're on to 4 combat points. Okay, that is everything done there. So, onto our roll phase. Let's see what we can get. A lot of wind. Oh, there's a 1. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Try for another large straight again. Probably going to do that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's try and roll a 5 with these last 2 rolls. Ooh, that's a 4. 1 more. That's a 2. Never mind. But it's fine. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do Gust 2, which gains us a wind shear, which again we can't take because we've already got one. And we get to deal 7 damage. They prevent 6 of it with a shield, and then 1 damage gets through. So they're on 10 hit points now. That's not bad. Onto main phase 2, where we're not going to do anything. So onto them. No upkeep, so let's roll. Right, okay, so we didn't roll the thief bot symbols, but we have rolled a laser, so they're going to deal 2 undefendable damage to us, which we're going to use our wind shear again, because this does count as an attack. I'm going to use the wind shear to prevent that 2 damage and deflect it onto this thief bot, taking them down to 8 health. Thank you, laser. Onto the crisis clock. This ticks up, and this tells us to lose a combat point. So we're down to 3 combat points now. Okay. New turn. Let's move. I don't think we're going to move. We're going to stay where we are so we can attack this thief bot again. So we're going to stay here. And onto the hero phase. So straight to income because we don't have an upkeep. Get a combat point and a card. Oh, lovely. We've got another upgrade. So, onto our main phase, we're going to spend the 2 CP to upgrade our Thunderstorm to Thunderstorm level 2. Okay. And onto our roll phase, because we're not going to do anything else during our main phase. So, let's go rolling. We need to do 8 damage. Ooh, we've got 2 cyclones, 2 wind. Now, Blizzard doesn't even do enough damage for me to be able to kill it, so I don't even want to go for Blizzard. I could try to get Opposites Attract, which may let me do enough damage to defeat it. Yeah, let's go try for that. So I need 2 Cyclones, which I have. I need 3 wind. I've got 2 wind. So I've got 2 more rolls to try and get a wind symbol. 1, there we go. There it is. So we've got Opposites Attract. We're going to gain 3 tornadoes, so we're at our max of 4 now. And we get to roll 2 dice and deal damage equal to that. So I need to roll a total of 8, at least. I've rolled 9. Lovely. So we do 9 damage. That defeats this thief bot, giving us another 2 momentum. Up to 5 momentum now. Nice. And then we could have used the charge effect, but there's no point because that just lets us re-roll the dice that we used to try and to determine the damage. So we're good there. Onto the second main phase where we're not going to do anything. So discard, we don't need to. We've got 6 cards, so we're fine. Now onto the henchmen. So no upkeep for them. So let's just roll. Now they have rolled 2 orange and a blue for the thief bots to activate, but they are not adjacent to me, so no damage done. And we didn't roll the laser. Onto the crisis clock. We have to discard a card. Let's discard. Yeah, I'll discard Helping Hand. I'm not bothered by that. That lets me re-roll one of their dice if I needed to, but I don't really mind too much about that. Okay, new turn. Onto the movement. Let's move over here. Onto this space. Pick up the last boost token on the board. Gives us a +1 damage. Then onto our hero phase. No upkeep. Just take our income. So combat point and card. Okay, that lets us help us on our roll, defensive roll. Main phase, we're not doing anything, so on to our roll phase. Yeah, let's spend 2 more tornadoes, try and get another maelstrom. I'm going to take 2 of their dice. Let's try and get a maelstrom. So we've got 6, 4. We've got 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2. So we just need to roll a 3. Let's bring these over here. We need to roll a 3 with 2 rolls left. That's double 6. Last chance. That's double 5. Right. So what we're going to do is spend 2 momentum to trigger Ant-Man's ability. Now he lets us increase or decrease 1 by 1. However, we're going to use his plus exhaust to be able to decrease or increase it by 1, 2, or 3 instead, because we need to get down 2 steps. So we're going to discard. We're going to change this 5 down to a 3. And because this is the exhaust ability, Ant-Man goes to the bottom of the ally deck, and we now have space to get another ally out instead if we want to. But we get to trigger our Maelstrom. So we're going to deal 10 damage. 6 of it is prevented by the shields. So we're going to deal 4 damage. So he goes from 11 down to a 7. Then we get to place 4 lightning on up to 4 different offensive abilities again. So we're going to do 1 onto opposite attract, which lets us trigger the 2 damage. So takes him down to 5. And then we're going to place, we've got 3 more to put out. We're going to put 1 onto Gust. We're going to put 1 onto Blizzard. And we'll put 1 onto Light It Up. Okay, there we go. And we're going to trigger the charge effect of the Maelstrom. Let's us gain a CP and draw a card. CP card. So onto our main phase part 2. Do we want to play any cards? No, we don't, because this one lets us remove a status effect, which we don't want to do. So we have to now discard, because we've got 7 cards in hand. So let's just discard this better D. Gets us another combat point. That's our turn done. So on to the enemies. No upkeep, so we're just going to roll their dice. Take them from here. Along with this. Right. We don't have the symbols to activate the Thief Bot. We do have the symbols to activate the laser, which is undefendable, so we don't get to roll this, but we do get to prevent it with our shield, so no damage coming to us. Crisis clock advances, blank, so nothing happens. And now on to us again. Hopefully this will be the last turn now, because we just need to do 5 damage to this Thief Bot, and we've completed the objective. 3 momentum. Do we want to... Yeah, I'm going to spend our 3 momentum to recruit Havoc. When we recruit Havoc, we gain 2 shields. There we go. Let's see a new ally. Out comes Professor X. Very good. Okay. Now Havoc's ability is once per round during your main phase we can exhaust Havoc to deal 2 collateral damage to all opponents, which would have been good during this, but it's fine. It's a nice way to deal extra damage. We're not going to move, we're going to stay where we are. So onto the hero phase. Let's just do our income because there's no upkeep for us. I'm going to point to the card. Okay. Then we are going to go into our main phase where we're not going to do anything. So just onto our roll phase, and we need to do 5 damage. So again, we can just roll a few wins and we're done. Yep, which we've done 3 wins. Can do a lightning field, which lets us deal 5 damage, which is enough to defeat the final thief bot. That gives us another 2 momentum. We have to play out the end of the round. So once the end of the round's finished, that's when we get to see if we've completed our objective. Hero phase part 2, main phase part 2 we're not going to do, so we have to discard down to 6. We're going to discard this super tornado to get a CP for that. Okay, now it's the bad guys. There's no upkeep to do, so we're just going to roll. It's effectively just to see if the laser hits, which it doesn't, because there's no henchmen left. Onto the crisis clock, which would activate the crab bots, but there's no crab bots. Now we've got to the end of the round. We've completed the main objective, which was to either defeat the thief bots and leave, or defeat all the henchmen, and we've defeated all the henchmen. So our rewards upon completion are that we get 6 health and 3 momentum. So we get 6 health, but we can only take the 1 because our maximum is 55, and 3 momentum. Taking us to 5, and because we did the perfect reward, which is to defeat all the henchmen, we get an extra 6 health, which we can't take, and an extra 3 momentum, taking us to 8 momentum, which is lovely to have going into the boss fight. So that's the end of part 1. Just give me a second now to set up ready for the boss fight, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, welcome back. We have now moved on to the boss fight, where we're going to be going up against Dr. Octopus. And the map here is considerably smaller. It's just this little section here. It's more of a intimate fight with Dr. Octopus. So when it comes to the movement phase, there's no entry point onto this. So when we start our movement phase, we can basically start on any space that we want to, and we'll just move straight onto that space. And then in the future, we can just move around. So these are all light grey spaces around Dr. Octopus here. So we can just essentially move wherever we want in this little ring, as long as we don't move into the center space where Doc Ock is himself. Before we get into it, we're just going to read what our objective is and a last few different things to set up the scenario here. So this is the boss fight. It says, you catch Doc Ock with his tentacles full of gold. Well, this is awkward, he mutters. I guess I'll have to destroy you. The boss setup. Doc Ock starts with 30 health plus 15 per hero. So 1 hero, so 30 plus 15. He's going to be on 45 health. And we are on 55 right now. So the main objective is, the goal is to reduce Doc Ock's health to 0. And upon completion, we win. Doc Ock is captured and the nation's treasures are returned. So we just need to defeat him. Now, Doc Ock's attacks work slightly different to when the henchmen would. But we'll just come to that when we trigger Doc Ock's attack. So let's just get into the game. It's movement phase first. So what do we want to do to start our movement? Do we want to get a card, CP, or momentum? Yes, let's go and get a momentum. Let's go over here, take a momentum. That'll increase our momentum now to 9. Okay, onto the hero phase. Let's go to our income, because we don't get a upkeep. So we got 8 combo points now and another card. Lovely. We've got some good dice changing cards here, which hopefully should be enough for us to be able to trigger our Tempest ability. But let's see. Onto the main phase. We're not going to do anything with our cards, but we are going to trigger Havoc. He says, once per round during your main phase, we exhaust Havoc to deal 2 damage to all enemies. So we're going to deal 2 damage there. So Doc Ock taken into 43. Havoc gets exhausted to the bottom of the deck. And I think we want to... We're going to spend 1 momentum to recruit Dagger, because I don't think Iron Man or Professor X are any good in the scenario at the minute. Because Professor X lets us essentially nullify henchmen's attacks, but there's no henchmen left. Iron Man effectively gives us another attack ability. We spend, it says if you have 5 of the same symbol, we can trigger Iron Man's ability, which is okay, but it's not amazing. So we'll just take Dagger for now. We're going to reveal Emma Frost. Okay. Anything else we want to do as part of our main phase? I don't think so. So let's go on to our roll phase. I'm going to try and get a Tempest. Let's go for it, right? So we want 6 Cyclones, please. Roll. We've got 2 Cyclones. That's a pretty good start. Let's go again. No. Last roll. Give me some Cyclones. No. Okay, so we've got 2, 2, and 4. Can I deal with these? Yes. So I'm going to spend 3 CP, taking us down to 5, to play twice as wild, which says change the values of any 2 dice. So I'm going to change this to a 6, and we're going to change this to a 6. And then we're going to play another 2 CP, down to 3, to play so wild, which is change the value of any 1 die. I'm going to change this into a 6, and this triggers our ultimate ability, the Tempest. Lovely. So this lets us gain 2 tornadoes, taking us to a max of 4, and a wind shear, which we don't have, which is good. Then we deal 12 undefendable damage. So the boss does have a defense ability this time. However, this isn't dice dependent, so this will always trigger an attack, but we are doing undefendable damage, so this doesn't trigger. So he's just going to take 12 damage. That takes him down to 31. And then I'm going to trigger the charged ability, spend that lightning bolt to gain an additional 2 tornadoes, which I can't take, but I do another 2 damage. 1, 2, plus I'm going to spend this +1 modifier to do another 1. So he's down to 28 hit points. Pretty big attack to start the game with. Now it's on to here, our main phase part 2, which we're not going to do anything with. So discard, we don't need to, we've got 5 cards. So on to the villain's turn. He doesn't have any upkeep to do, so we're just going to roll his dice. Now, let's see how this... So, when we roll our dice in a boss fight, the first thing we do is see what numbers we've rolled on the 2 red dice. In this case, we rolled a 2 and a 6. This means we're going to take 2 boost tiles and put them face down on the 2 and 6 spot. So that's 1 there and 1 there. Like that. Okay. Now these tokens represent critical hits. If we were to move onto a space with a critical hit token, we would take it along with any other face-up boost icons and put it onto our health dial to remind ourselves that we're going to get a critical hit during the boss's turn. If one appears during the boss's roll, so if we were in space 2 or 6 now, we would also be susceptible to a critical hit. So that's the first thing we do on the boss's dice roll, is check to see where the critical hits are coming. But luckily we avoided one this turn. Then we're going to go left to right for these are his attack abilities. We're going to go left to right and activate the first one that we're able to. So the Crushing Grasp needs an orange, a blue, and a yellow, which we have rolled. So we're just going to do Crushing Grasp and not do anything else. So Crushing Grasp is a melee multi-strike, and it's going to deal 11 damage. And if it was a critical hit, which this time is not, it would have done an additional 3 damage. But he's doing 11 damage to us. So we get to do our defense roll against it, because it's just a regular attack. So we get to roll 5 dice. And then, depending on what we rolled, on 3 wind, which we did get, we get a tornado, which we can't take. 2 water, 2 rain we didn't do. We did get 1 cyclone, so we get a lightning, which we're going to put on to Maelstrom. Okay. So we didn't prevent any of it. So he's doing 11 damage to us. We're going to prevent 6 of it with our shields. So that takes it down to 5 damage. We're going to use our wind shear to prevent another 2 of it. So that's 3 damage coming to us, taking us down to 52. And 2 damage deflected back onto him because of our wind shear. Takes him down to 26. Then we move the crisis clock. So this crisis clock is a symbol on every space in this one. So let's see what we got. We've got Doc Ock's little arm here, which is the grapple. This inflicts tangle on all heroes. So we are now tangled. We have a status effect. And what entangle does is that a player afflicted with this token gets one fewer roll attempt during the next offensive roll. So on my next roll, I'm only going to get 2 rolls instead of the 3, which is not great, but not the end of the world. I could even remove it, actually. So that's the crisis clock done. So back to us. Movement. Let's go and get some CP. Go here, get the CP. Taking us up to 4. Then we go on to our upkeep, which doesn't happen. This is a negative effect, but it doesn't happen during the upkeep phase. That happens during the roll phase. So we get our income, which is another CP, taking us to 5 and another card. Now we're on to the main phase, which we're going to spend a card. So we're going to spend 1 CP to play, get that out of here, remove a status effect from a chosen player. So we're going to get rid of Entangled, so we don't have to worry about that. Anything else we want to do? I don't think so. So we're just going on to our main roll, our roll phase. Okay, I'm going to spend 2 tornadoes to get 2 dice from this guy. Let's try and go for another maelstrom. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. We just need to roll a 5. Let's take these out here. 2 more rolls for a 5. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got the maelstrom. So we're going to deal 10 damage, which he gets to defend against, but he doesn't actually defend the damage. He just does 1 damage back to us, undefendable damage. So we're just going to take that damage, taking us down to 51. But there's 10 damage onto him, taking him down to 16. But I'm also going to spend 2 momentum to use Dagger's ability that makes this undefendable. So actually, it's undefendable, so I don't take that 1 damage from him. And then I'm going to do the plus exhaust to gain a shield and add another 2 damage onto that attack. So he's down to 14 health, and Dagger is gone. Okay. And that's our roll phase done. I took the 10 damage, which we've done. Then I get to place lightning on up to 4 different defensive abilities. I'm going to place one onto lightning field, which puts 2 on there, so I get to deal 2 damage to him. Taking him down to 12. Then I'm going to put 1 on to light it up, which again does 2 damage, taking him down to 10. I'm going to put 2 more out. I'm going to put 1 on opposites attract, and I'm going to put 1 on Thunderstorm 2 and trigger another 2 damage, taking him down to 8 hit points. Then we're going to do the charged effect and gain... wait, sorry. I did Maelstrom, not that one. Charged effect, which gains us another CP and a card. So we're going to go up to 5 and another card. That is the end of our roll phase. We're going on to another main phase, which we're not going to do anything with. And we've got 6 cards, so we don't need to discard anything. So on to the villain. No upkeep to do for him, so we're just going to do his roll. So we'll roll first to see where his crises go. So we've got 3 and a 5. So 1 goes on to 3 here. Oops. 1 goes there, and 1 goes on to 5. So we missed the crisis. We missed the critical attack. Sorry, criticals, not crisis. We missed the critical attack. So let's see what we've done. Have we done Crushing Grasp? No, because we haven't rolled a yellow. This is 2 oranges and a blue, which we don't have. And this is 3 oranges, which we don't have. So he's missed us completely. No attack from Doc Ock. Lovely. So we just move on to the Crisis Clock, which is this blue hand here, which is Recover. So Doc Ock is going to gain a shield. Put on his bar to remind us there. And remove 2 random negative status tokens from himself, but he doesn't have any negative status effects, so he's okay. Alright then. On to us. And for a new turn, back to movement. I am going to move down here and get this card, But it is a critical hit spot, but I've got plenty of health on him, but he's only got 8 health left. So we immediately get to draw a card with this one. Draw a card. We're going to take this and put it here. Now, this is just to remind us that when he attacks, he's going to do a critical hit to us, but then after that, we will get to take this, flip it over, and get whatever bonuses are on that tile as well. So there is a bit of a benefit on going to them because you get extra boost tokens from it, but you're susceptible to critical hits. So that's movement done. Onto the hero phase. No upkeep, so we'll just do our income, combat point, and a card. Okay, we are going to spend 2 CP to upgrade our opposites attract ability. Opposites attract 2. Okay. And then we are going to not do anything else in the main phase. So just going on to our roll. I'm going to try and do another Tempest, why not? See if we can finish him off with a Tempest. We got 1. We need to roll. Oh, just get another ally actually. What we got? Emma Frost is another ability. Let's just deal 8 damage in total. Iron Man lets us deal 4 damage in total. Yeah, let's just spend the 2 momentum to get Emma Frost. We may or may not use her. If we ever get 5 of the same symbol, we could trigger her ability instead of one of our own. Well, we've got 1 Cyclone for now. I'm able to change 1 into a 6 and get extra rerolls with that. I can increase that, but not into a 6. I got a few rerolls. Let's just try it. Let's try it. 1 Cyclone there. Another Cyclone there. Last regular roll. No. So we're going to spend 1 CP to play one more time, which says a chosen player may perform an additional roll attempt of up to 5 dice. We're just going to reroll these 3. Get no Cyclones. What I will do is spend Tsunami for 1 CP. And I can reroll up to 3 dice. What I'm going to reroll is these 2. Maybe I can get 5 wins and trigger Emma Frost's ability. Which I didn't get. I haven't rolled anything really. Not the best, but it's fine. I can't do anything other than Lightning Field. So we've got 4 winds. So 4 wind lets us deal 6 damage, which you can defend against, dealing 1 damage back to us, which we're going to block with our shield. So we're doing 6 damage. 3 of it is blocked by his shield. The other 3 goes onto there with 5. He survives another turn. I was hoping I could have done Emma Frost, but didn't get it. But that's that. That's fine. On to main phase part 2, where we're not going to do anything. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So we don't need to discard. So on to the villain. No upkeep to do. So let's just roll his dice. He is adding criticals onto 3 and 6. So we're going to get another critical on there and 1 on there. Okay. And let's see what he rolls. Crushing Grasp he didn't get. Laser Strike he didn't get either. And Rapid Slash he didn't get either. So no attack. So no critical damage done to us. That's lovely. We just get to collect these bonus tokens now as if we normally would have, and we're getting a +2 attack modifier and a card. Lovely. Okay. Then we move the Crisis Clock. This is the heart, where he's going to do Trauma Aid. We roll 1 dice per hero, which is just 1, and he heals 3 health for each orange symbol rolled. He rolled 0 orange symbols, so it doesn't recover any health. Dark Oak isn't performing the best, is he? Okay, new turn, movement phase. I mean, Doesn't really matter what we go for, does it? Let's just go and get the health. Why not? Take us back up to 54. Then we're going to go into our main hero phase, so no upkeep, just income for 1 CP and a card. And I'm going to spend, into main phase, I'm going to use Vegas Baby, which is free. I roll 1 dice and gain half the value as CP. That's a 2, so I gain 1 CP, lovely. Then I'm going to spend that 1 CP straight away to play double up and draw 2 cards. 1, 2. We've got Dynamic Nature. Remove 1 lightning and roll 3 dice. Yeah, let's play that, why not? It's free. Dynamic Nature. Remove 1 lightning. Let's remove it from Opposites Attract. Then I roll 3 dice and see what I get. I've rolled. I gain CP equal to the number of winds that I rolled. So I rolled 2 winds, so it gets me 2 CP, taking me to 5. And I rolled a rain, which lets me draw another card. Ah, nice. So lets me do dice. That lets me charge an ability. Nice. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can use one of these cards during my turn. That'll be good. But okay. That's the main phase done. On to my roll phase. So I just need to do 5 damage to defeat him. So there we go. We've got Thunderstorm right there. Let's just do that. That's 2 wind and 3 rain. Just trigger Thunderstorm 2. Gains us 3 lightning, which will put Maelstrom, Tempest, it doesn't really matter, and light it up. And we get to do 7 damage, which he gets to defend against, dealing 1 damage back to us. Let's just spend this for 9 damage, why not? That's enough to defeat Doc Ock. And we have won. Doc Ock defeated. That is Marvel Dice Throne Missions. And like I said, this is the tutorial scenario, so it is a very easy scenario. And you can see we handily defeated Doc Ock without any real trouble. We almost on completely full health. His attacks, I mean, we did get lucky with the dice rolls. Like twice he didn't even attack us. And the same on the other side of the board. Like most of the time, we were never getting attacked by the henchmen. So, and we very rarely rolled the laser in that case as well. So we weren't taking a whole lot of damage. So, yeah, like I said, it's the introductory scenario. But it's good fun. It's a fun cooperative game. Nice twist on the Dice Throne game system, so we can use it cooperatively. Storm was a really fun character to play. These lightning bolts are really cool to be able to charge up your abilities and even do extra damage to bad guys, or being able to steal the dice off them to be able to trigger your best abilities a lot easier. Yeah, really fun character to play. Fun little game. The allies, I think, are a really cool addition to the game. Being able to cycle through them and get different allies as you get more momentum, you get access to more of them and get to do more cool things. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Now what you can do is sort of make it into like a progressional thing. So the game comes with this perk sheet. So every time you complete an objective, you get a certain amount of perk points that you can tick off on this sheet to give yourself little bonuses going forward. So for example, you can increase your starting health by 1. So in future scenarios, you get more health to start with. And different things like that, get extra momentum, get different status effects to start the game with, lots of different abilities that you can trigger as you go forward in the game to help you progress to the more difficult scenarios. And like I said, there are lots of scenarios in the game. On the back here, it shows you how many different scenarios there are and the difficulty levels of them. So we played Ox, Nox, Nox, which is a difficulty 1, and they go up to difficulty 5, and there's so many different scenarios that we could play. Lots of different villains to go up against. So yeah, lots of things to go through there. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Please let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel as always. And in the future, maybe I'll do some more of these, and so you can see some of the other villains and other scenarios and how it differs. Becomes a lot more difficult. But hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.